Mhm.
Okay, I'm Eric Deloach. I'm a book author, and we have another great show, American Authors and Others. We have a special guest, and at this time, we're going to allow him to introduce himself. Go ahead.
I'm Dave Roper, and for many years now, I've had my Redave Studios. I'm in that little room now with my keyboards and everything else. Yep.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell the public, he's on LinkedIn, and he's somebody that I guess may watch some of my shows. But what definitely drew me to him is he had a song. I think it was it about veterans?
About
Veterans or something about people that served in the military or some. It was a special song that you had.
no, I've made quite a lot of videos which are about wars and conflict and things like that, because I've always been a kind of a hippie. I've always wanted peace and love.
Right. I just remember the song, and I remember that it was so well written, and it really touched me. I felt the song and I said, wow, what a very talented person. I like interviewing authors, but I really enjoy also interviewing people from the music world. I'm a songwriter as well. So when I hear a great song, it catches me. And that was a great song that you had out. So I said, yeah, said to myself, I have to have this very talented gentleman on the program, and so that people can get to meet you and things, and then along those lines. So it was a very special song that I heard that you created, and I just felt those, you say, goosebumps of greatness from what you created. It was very great.
Do you remember what it was called? Was it Asking Questions of the Moon?
It was something about, you were talking about people that, like I said, the military, or something about people loyal to the country. It was something along those lines, and it was very good.
Okay, no worries. I can't think of which one, but there we are. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Right. So tell me about you in terms of becoming this creative genius. Tell us about becoming this person who was very good with music and expressing yourself in that space.
Okay, well, thank you for that. When I was about 7, my parents gave me piano lessons once a week. So that's how I learned the keyboards over many years. And when I was 11, my grandfather came back from a holiday with a guitar. And none of my other cousins, who were all older than me, apart from one, wanted the guitar. So he offered it to me. So I took the guitar, loved it, learned how to play from a book called Play in a Day by Bert Whedon. I don't know if that means anything to you.
Right.
But way back this was. And yeah, that was about 11, 12 at the time. And I learned how to play guitar. And by the time I was 13, 14, we'd made a band of people I knew. And we performed quite a few venues around South Wales, because that's where I'm originally from.
Okay.
And when I came up to London at the age of 21, that was 1969.
Wow. Guess what? I was born 1969.
I know. Anyway, when I came up to London in 1969 and started teaching, because that's how I earned my living, was by teaching.
Right.
I also joined a couple of bands and played in a band called Clam, Backlash, and Head Waiter for quite a few years. I really enjoyed that. We played all over London, so many venues, upstairs at Ronnie's in central London, places like that. It was great fun. I really enjoyed it.
Wow. What are some of your music influences? I mean, who as artists, who influenced you?
Well, when I was a kid in the 60s, I think my favorite group or band or performer was was the Beatles. I nearly said Cliff Richard, because when Elvis was around and Cliff was the competition, I liked Cliff. But in the 60s, yeah, definitely the Beatles. And then as time went on, I loved progressive rock.
Okay.
Progressive rock produced by bands like Queen, Genesis, bands like that had a huge influence on me. So that's where it all comes from.
Wow. Did you ever get a chance to go to any of these groups' concerts?
Well, yes, I was playing as one of the support bands to what was his name? Dave Berry. Do you ever heard of Dave Berry? Well, Dave Berry and the Cruisers played at Newport, and we supported them. So that was good. And then when I came to London, we were lucky enough to go on Capital Radio for a few times. We made an EP, and that was featured on BBC. And yeah, we played on Capital live 3 times. So that was all great fun, and it spread our information about us. But I have never, ever managed to get a deal, to be offered a deal until last year.
Wow.
And no one was, last year I was offered a deal by a company called VG Music Gold. And I was just knocked out by it. I could not believe I would have a deal like that. So now my songs and some of my band's albums are online on almost on every site. And if people are interested, just look up Redave, R-E Dave, one word.
Wow. Now, how did that deal come about? I mean, how did that deal come about?
Well, I had used 1 or 2 of the sites to upload my music to, sites like Spotify and things like that. So I suppose they saw me from there. That's the only way I can think of. And going back about 5 years, I had a website for about 20 years. So they might have seen that. You never know.
Right. So they heard some of your music some kind of way, and they said, we want to give him a deal.
That's right. I'm very pleased.
So the message is never give up. If you really have talent, and with music, let me tell you, as a songwriter, with music, you're a songwriter as well, that sometimes some people that may be in the industries, they, it changes over and over who's in it. They may not have the talent enough to recognize talent. You know what I'm saying? They think they have talent, they hear a great song, but they may not, for whatever reason, don't have the talent and know what people like. Because like I said, with your song, I was like, wow, that I knew right off when I heard that song and what I felt. Anytime you feel that, then you know somebody really has talent. And and this is somebody speaking as a songwriter, so, not just a regular listener. So I was like, well, this guy is very talented.
Well, that's very kind of you. And I wrote my first song ever when I was aged about 12. Just wrote it on the guitar that I learned how to play. So that was fun. And I used to go to a youth club in a church, downstairs in a church. I met lots of other guitarists and people like that. So they were much better than me at that time, but I learned a lot from them as time went on.
Right. Did you ever come to America and go to any concerts over here?
I haven't, I'm afraid. I've never been to the USA, and I would love to do that sometime, but I gave up performing on a stage about late 1980s. I have performed at campsites and things like that, because we used to go with a caravan to several campsites. But the reason I gave up performing in the band was because of the heavy gear. I was a keyboard player, and I had 2 massive speakers, and lots of heavy gear. You can see some of my old keyboards there. Shall I show
Yeah.
you them?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Keyboards. This is a more recent one down the bottom there. That's a
Right.
full keyboard. But yeah, those keyboards, once they were packed up, were extremely heavy. And I used to carry everything around in the little trailer on the back of my Ford Fiesta.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think that's what buggered my back, excuse the French.
Right.
Lifting these heavy things. When I was at the gig, it wasn't a problem because the band members helped. But when
Right.
I got home again, God, that was the end of the world.
that was a lot of work. Now, with your talent
Oh,
as
it
a
was.
songwriter, with your talent as a songwriter, did you end up, writing for anybody? Because it maybe you might have stopped as being the key performer, or you kind of lessened that role, but still did it, but lessened that role. Did you ever decide to like maybe write for some artists or something like that?
Well, I have tried, like many, many, many other artists, to put my stuff on Bandit magazine. Are you aware of Bandit magazine?
I think I might have heard that. Yeah.
It's a monthly release. You have to subscribe, but it's not expensive. It's a monthly release of opportunities which publishers and people who own studios regularly put in adverts. And I've been applying for those opportunities for many, many years.
Right.
But I never got offered a contract till last year. That was just one of the amazing things. So no, I've never managed to get other artists to perform my stuff. I would love to.
Right. Now, how many songs have you you think that how many songs, well, you may not know right off, but how many songs do you kind of think that you've written over the years?
I think over many years, I've probably written something in the region of about 300 songs, maybe more.
Wow.
Maybe more.
And what genre, did you have different genres, or was it just one genre that the music was written in?
I think mainly the genre of, I don't know, progressive rock, the kind of stuff that the Queen and Genesis and people like that did. That was my favorite. That was what triggered me. But lots of performers and artists, they triggered me as well. Excuse me 1 minute.
Yeah,
I must get this. Oh, dying for a drink.
There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, that's a good title to a song. I'm dying for a drink. Excuse me, I'm dying. Exactly. I'm dying for a drink. Yeah. So tell us about the scene. When did you first? I guess around London. That's interesting. Everybody performing in London. And about what year? And just what was the scene like? You probably went on stage, and then you had another band before you, and you met different people. Tell us about that whole organic experience as being an independent artist in the great city of London.
Well, I wasn't so much of an independent artist when we used to play in all these venues, because in the three bands that I mentioned earlier, I was not always the singer. I sang some of the time.
Right.
But I have to say, in the band Backlash and the band Head Waiter, a guy called Stuart Hay had a much higher vocal range than mine. I've always wanted to be a tenor.
Right.
But, even though I could sing A above middle C for those musicians who understand that, I could get that note most of the time.
Right.
He could reach above A and sing A easily. So he used to sing lots of the lead vocals. We all wrote songs. I probably wrote more than any of them, but we all wrote songs. So those venues in London, there were so many at that time, and we played even in Newham, in the old Bridge House. We played up in Ilford. We played even in the home counties, in St. Albans. I don't know if you know these places, but they had a lovely venue there, and they still have. Played in South the boroughs south of London. It was such fun at that time. And, you know, you used to get a small payment, but the real pleasure was from actually seeing the audiences react. And I'm lucky that I still have some tapes where they were live performances and where you get the reaction from the crowd. So that was really nice, you know, where you hear that.
Yeah, and I mean, it has to be a fun thing. Just even if you're not the lead singer, just performing and touching people. And I mean, just from that space, that had to be they say tons of fun.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And we had a great band as well, you know, even when one guy in Backlash had to leave because he got a change of job and had to move.
Right.
I managed to get the excellent lead guitarist from my first band in London, really. And his name was Bob, and he was a superb guitarist. It's the first time I'd ever seen somebody play electric guitar with their fingers, and he used to wear nails on his right hand, false nails, and pick at the strings. But he was superb. He really was an excellent guitarist.
Wow. So what was the whole scene like? I mean, I learned songwriting from God rest his soul. It's kind of tough. A friend of mine who wrote for Twisted Sister. His name is Mark Carter. He passed away right before COVID took place, but I learned from him. And of course, I'm at the time I lived in New York. I lived in New York 16 years. It's a great place. And I learned from him in that scene up there. I actually lived in a spot where that was the top rock spot in New York. Can't remember right now. It kind of jars my memory, but I saw different rock bands and different. So it was a lot of fun. And I met him, you know, one night performing, and he kind of blew the audience away. So tell us about the scene. I mean, you know, as people who don't know anything about it, tell us about London and the scene, the music scene. How about that? That seems to be quite interesting.
Okay, in terms of the actual scene, I mean, there were many bands around at that time.
Right.
We played regularly actually, I've got on the wall behind me.
Okay.
I've still got the stickers.
Okay.
You can see Rock Night upstairs at Ronnie's.
Right.
You see that? Well,
I
Ronnie Scott was a big, famous venue in London.
Right.
And it was right in the center of Soho in London.
Right.
And they had a place upstairs for rock bands to perform, and we performed there many times and thoroughly loved it. Really loved it. And audiences were cram-packed, so it was great. The other places we played at, unfortunately, one of them, called the Bridge House in Canning Town, that was a very famous spot at the time. But unfortunately, they've knocked down the pub now, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, we played with many bands, and half of them I can't remember the names of these days, but not so many famous artists, although we did play in quite a few halls, and there were other bands playing there, and I can't remember their names now. It's quite a long time ago, but yeah, really enjoyed that. What was so good about being local to London was the fact that there were so many venues around. Okay. I mean, if you look at London even now, and you ask Google or something to point out any music venues, you'll see there are still literally hundreds of venues. It's good.
Wow. So it is London, can you say it's like it's a place where you can hear live music and you see people that are trying to make it in this industry, and also people who just that play music for the fun of it. It's just a music hub, a music center.
Yes, it is. And even down the road from where we live, I live in north east London, and it's just literally on the edge of Epping Forest.
Right.
But even here, every Friday night, there's a band down the local County Arms pub, and it gets packed on a Friday night. Mind you, it has been disrupted a bit by COVID, I've got to say that. And
Right.
many live venues have actually suffered in
Right.
this COVID
time period. Let me ask you this. Now, during the time while you were playing, do you were there anybody that you saw that was not a big star at the time that went on? You know, maybe you might have played kind of in the proximity of that, you know, around that that band or whatever, and then all of a sudden, wow, you saw them on the video, or you saw them as this new rock band that was a star group. Did anything like that occur?
Not really. I wouldn't say that a band that I saw that were not famous suddenly became famous. That I can't recall any that happened to. But
Right.
my wife and I used to go regularly and watch bands like Genesis and like Queen. Yeah, all these bands, we saw them at Wembley, which is a big stadium, and places like that. But I can't remember, I'm sorry, I can't remember any bands that were playing in the pubs and clubs that we played in at that time who became big and stars. I mean, bear in mind that the competition was huge. I'm sure it's still absolutely huge today. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, how many bands are there even in London now? There's probably, I would think, at least 1,000 bands. So it's, you know, it's difficult. And for those bands to become famous is very, very difficult. I'm not famous. I'm not famous at all. But it's very nice of you, Eric, to have me on your Zoom call.
No. I have a place in my heart for musicians and artists, and I'm a songwriter and stuff like that. I can tell you, at one time I was in New York. I was representing different people in the industry, and I ran into this is the group is called Full Force, and they had broken up, I guess, and they had one of the members that went, started managing acts, and he had an act right before Alicia Keys that looked like Alicia Keys, and I took a continuing education course with music, and the person that was over the course was the VP of A&R for Interscope Records. And we ended up at BB King's downtown. BB King's, I don't know if some people owned it. I don't know if maybe he owned it as well, but under his name. And that's where I met Full Force, the guy, Mark Anthony, who had this artist. Okay, so I got backstage. I was dressed a certain way, so I was able to get backstage, met him. I said, "Whoa, your artist has the look and all this type of stuff." And so let me get so they sent me the tape, and I passed around the different labels, a couple of labels that I knew about. But later on, for some reason, the girl got pregnant. Just some situations happened, so it didn't evolve. But they had a song on one of those things, and lo and behold, I heard the song. Next thing I knew, somebody had gotten the song. I guess he sold the song after it didn't work with the act, and they took the song. You know what I mean? It became a hip hop song, but actually before that, it was kind of like an R&B song. So something like that has happened. I had a situation to where I was living in New York. I'm writing songs, and this guy does a video in front of the place that I live, and he ends up with a top 10 Hot 100 song.
Wow.
But he ended up getting, and I'm supposed to be the songwriter, right? So he ends up getting arrested or whatever. But I mean, so weird, strange, peculiar things happen like that in New York.
Yeah.
You know, so has did you experience any songs that you might have heard that kind of, you know, parts of the song you're like, whoa, I heard that song with it from a band, but some kind of way now you heard it as a success story, as a song with a band that was successful?
In the days when I used to play in bands up until the late 80s, I think the majority of bands used to perform covers, obviously,
right?
But particularly rocky songs. And but there were quite a few bands at that time who wrote their own stuff and performed their own stuff. I mean, we did. I would say that probably 75% of the songs we used to perform regularly were our own compositions. We used to enjoy writing them. I can't think of any songs that I heard in the background and thought later, wow, fancy hearing that now on radio.
Right.
I can't think of any like that, I'm afraid.
Right. And
I'd like to.
Absolutely. And I recall too now with that guy, Mark Anthony, that with that artist, I've gotten him over the Interscope Records, the artist material, because I was in that course. And then I met like the director of finance at Motown Record. Okay, so I got the tape over there because I'm representing these guys trying to get them a deal. So I get the tape over there. Okay, and so Interscope, he didn't have the presentation, even though he was a big person in the industry, but he didn't have it marketed, and that's what stopped it from Interscope from being successful. Over to Motown, what happened is the artist had got turned down before, but when I got it to the director of finance, he didn't know anything about that or whatever, and he played in his office. He told me, and then he said other people heard it. He liked the artist, so he arranged for an A&R to a new A&R to go to a club and hear the artist, and possibly the artist could get signed. But this guy, lo and behold, he got anxious. The top guy, whatever, that was over the artist, and said, made a call to the president, and I was like, don't do that, please.
No.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Wow.
So it was dead on arrival, because once the president kind of knew what was going on for Motown, it just stopped it. But what could have happened though, if he would have let that go, we could have let the A&R hear it, and the A&R send the buzz into the president's ear again, and the president may have evaluated his decision, and maybe the artist would have had a chance. So that's kind of a story of kind of and that was the artist that her song ended up on another artist because it didn't pan out for her. Yeah, interesting stuff like that.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
That's a shame. I guess.
I mean, I think, I don't know what the actual figures are, but certainly in Britain, I think for every 1,000 bands or artists that you have, maybe one will get a record released.
Right.
It's not exactly a hugely successful place for bands, solo artists, whoever. If they're lucky,
right?
Wow, great.
Yeah,
if they get that deal.
Do they have like a British Idol similar to American Idol? I mean, with that they have these artists that come on the show and they sing different songs, and then they're trying to get a deal. I think I saw something.
I can't think of any show on television,
right,
where unknown artists play and get signed up. I can't think of any. I can think of I mean, Pop Idol,
Yeah,
or what were the others called? There's a few where people do generally covers,
right,
sing covers, and
right,
then maybe they'll win the competition, but not so much for people who write their own stuff. Very
Well,
rare.
you're correct. And what I remember seeing, maybe about 2 nights ago, was interesting. They had a guy on there who's pretty good, okay, but he The Voice, the show's called
The
The Voice.
Voice, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but then I think he picked the wrong person, the wrong star group to be in, to be selected by. So when they showed, once he got in that lineup of artists, oh my God, these artists were like way talented than he was.
Yeah.
So he would have done better like getting with one of the other stars in their group that probably may have had weaker artists. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
just by a stroke of luck, you make it through that particular artist group of artists, and then compete with a big artist, and just that, and let it be up to the audience to decide if they liked you or not. But he didn't get a chance. He didn't get a chance.
No.
And I saw from London. I'm telling you, amazing talent.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing talent. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely a lot of talent in London.
I think singing has changed over these years, over many years. And to be what I would call a top singer, someone who is rated really highly, you need now to have so many skills that you didn't need back in Mick Jagger's day or Paul McCartney's day. I mean, I'm not in any way putting those artists down. They were fantastic artists. But these days, to be a singer, most men have to be full tenors.
Okay.
Yeah, not baritones, not bass singers. And most females have to be sopranos who've got a huge range as well. But it's also about what has become very popular over the last 10, 15 years, and that is vibrato. And back in my day, if you had a vibrato, you were unusual. Right. It was very unusual. Whereas today, if you can't sing with a quiver in your voice, particularly when you stretch those notes, and if you haven't got that edge in your throat, you know what I mean, the sort of rock star edge in your throat. If you haven't got that, you're not noticed these days. So I think the standard of singing has shot up over the last 10, 15 years. Absolutely.
I agree with you. I agree with you. What I was going to think? What do you think was the effects of MTV on the artist? What I mean, as you being an artist, a creative person, what was the impact of MTV? Was it complete? Was it altogether good, or there was some drawbacks with the creation with MTV?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to listen to this at night in my bed.
Yeah.
My parents didn't even know that I had the earphones on and was listening to it. But seriously though, I mean, those shows, I think like MTV were very, very interesting at that time. And it's difficult now to say who would have been a star if something had happened differently. And I'm afraid to say a lot is about who you know, not what you know.
That's true.
And if you've got that contact, that person that you can talk with, appeal to, then yeah, you may be offered a deal. But there are so many good singers around. I mean, I don't know what the situation is in America,
right?
But I think probably at least 50% of singers these days have singing lessons.
Okay.
Maybe at school, maybe outside school, but they'll learn how to do the vibrato, have a bit of throat, bit of feeling in it. They'll learn those tricks.
That's right. That's right. Well, my thoughts are, 52, you started teaching in 69. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
Now 169. But I recall prior to MTV, just having to talk. We're musician to songwriter talking here, and the audience is getting the opportunity to hear this. So I mean, they get an inside track here. But if you correct me if I'm wrong or whatever, it prior to MTV, it was about the song. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't so. It was image. Some you know the Beatles image, fantastic image. Rolling Stones, fantastic image. Oh my God, great. But a lot of it, to some degree, out there was really about great music
yeah,
over the image. And I
yes,
think when you got to MTV, if you made it, it was the perfect venue for somebody who made it. If you actually
yeah,
made it and you had image, then it would make you this mega star, because you would,
yeah,
before then you just had the radio. And say for somebody like Prince, for example, he probably
mhm,
only would have been big in just R&B if there was no MTV. MTV allowed him to be this artist that could do rock and different things, but he would have been half the size that he became if there was no MTV. And so that it became about image, you know. And but I mean, of course, these individuals, Michael Jackson, different people were very talented. Okay. But I think now, since MTV has kind of died down from the music side of it, more reality shows, I think it's starting to become more about music again. When you
yeah,
have your person Adele, who I think has had the #1 song for quite some time recently, who's a very talented singer. I forgot the lady that had the operatic voice that from England. I forgot that was on a show and she got discovered. I don't know if you can. I can't remember. Her face is in
I
my
can't
head.
remember.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean Adele, for example,
Yeah,
amazing voice and good songs. I mean, you know, you know, pretty good songs and stuff, but amazing voice. So I think it's about music again, and that might explain you getting a record deal last year. Yeah, it became about music. You know, it's about music again. We have had so much bad, I won't say, not great music. I put it that way, not the best of music. Till now, people are the demanding music again, real good music
yeah.
again.
I, I,
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I really think you're right, but well, I also hope that what you're saying will become even more so over the next few years, because I do feel that even politics, even voting, whether it's in America or whether it's in Britain, has become about personalities.
Right,
It's
right.
about the people that stand up and look a bit different, say a bit different. And obviously things like politics and that sort of stuff should not be about personalities.
Right,
But
right.
I do think, television, I remember my dad brought home his first ever television and all our neighbors came round to look at it. It was a little brown box, no bigger than about that,
Right.
a little brown square box. And you only got the one channel at that time, but it was interesting. But in those days, that started this, I don't know, plague, if you like, of personalities. People who want to be different, people who are comic, people who are angry, people who are very dominating, the kind of personalities that we've had for the last 20, 30 years. And I'll be very glad if shows move away from that and just focus on what they hear. That would be a great step forward, I think.
What was told to you once you got the deal? Did they tell you why you got the deal? I think you're in the onslaught of good music coming back again. I think that has a part to do with it. But tell me, and I can attest that you have great music, especially that song really blew me away. So tell me, when signing the deal and talking with people, if you can share with us, what was it about? Did they say, what was it about you that attracted them to say that we have to sign you for a deal? That it had to be something special that connected the deal.
I'm not entirely sure, but it was a deal where I didn't have to pay anything.
Okay.
It was a deal where they would take 30%, I would take 70% of any sales of songs or records or deals or anything else that happened. And it was a 3-year contract. I have to say this, though, if you've ever heard of VG Music Gold, VG Music as a company, I think is based in the States, is based in America.
Okay.
VG Music Gold was like an affiliated company which originally had their roots in Russia.
Okay. Okay.
And I think some of the artists that had joined VG Music in America, I think were looking around to try and get other artists to sign them up for Music Gold. And at that time, on 1 or 2 sites, I had some of my tracks, some of my music, mainly free to listen and all that business. So I think maybe what they decided to do was, because some of my music featured bands from the 70s and 80s, I think they liked that sort of music. You know, even a drummer who I played with for a long time said to me the other day, we often talk, and he said to me the other day, he said, Dave, he said, you don't write songs as good as the ones you used to write in the band.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I thought, wow, I'm not hearing any more now. That was
Let's stop talking, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Come back.
But having said,
yeah.
Having said that, if you manage to have a listen online, just look up Redave, and it's on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all over the place. If you look up Redave, you'll see that apart from one of my later albums, the rest are my old bands, Clam, Backlash, and Head Waiter. And I think maybe it was the music that they heard in those old bands that attracted them towards offering me a deal. But I was very surprised and very glad. Amazing.
Absolutely. But, now with the type of music that you do, are you interested in getting some of that music like in film and maybe TV? That's a possibility.
Well, I wrote one song which was performed by Clam, and it was called Lord of Sin.
Okay.
And before I got offered this deal by VG Music Gold, before that, I was registered with a company online, and they said, we're still pushing your music, Dave, and there's a show about, in America, not in Britain, a show which will be released sometime in the new year, so sometime this year, and they've got 3 songs that they may use as their main treat, if you like, at the beginning, when the credits go up in the beginning. And they said, one of those songs is Lord of Sin. So I, what? So they had to ask, this nice guy had to ask VG Music Gold if they could promote this and have it, the rights to that. And VG Music Gold agreed. So I'm still waiting to hear now whether just that song has been chosen for the show. But even though I don't know the name of that American show, they did say it's a very big show in the States. So I'm not sure, but I've got my fingers crossed.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would kind of think that some of the music from the past would always make it into TV and film, because I think there's a strong appetite for that original real music, great music. That there's a big appetite even over here in the United States for that, especially in TV and film, and something original, you know, that you haven't heard. You know, because some of the big stars, you've heard their music so much that you need something new. I mean, not new to you, but new to the public, kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
To the mass public. What do you see? What do you want to see happen now in the music business? Well, let's go here. Tell me about what do you think COVID has done to the music business? We'll start there.
Okay. Well, it's hit clubs, bars, venues where performers play, and I don't think that's been very fair on most people.
Right.
If you're a star, then yeah, you're still getting deals on telly, perhaps, you know, or maybe in a film even. But for ordinary people and ordinary bands, ordinary artists, it's been a very hard couple of years. And hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully things will improve over the next year or two. And we'll get back to normal maybe, but I wouldn't like to sort of say, I believe that will happen. Who knows? COVID could go on for many years yet.
That's right. Do you have an appetite or desire to perform a little bit here and there in the future? I mean, if by some chance that COVID gets under control much better than what it is around the world.
Yeah, I'm not a performing artist anymore.
Okay.
I can tell you my age if you want me to, but I'm beginning to feel a bit more like an old man now. I've got physical problems. I've got body problems with my body. I won't go into those details, but the idea of carrying gear around now or traveling a long distance to perform in a venue is not my cup of tea. I mean, the last time I performed was about, I'm guessing about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Every year for about 8 years, I used to go to a campsite in the south of France because the weather was lovely there in the summer.
Yeah.
And I used to meet up with mainly Dutch performers, people from Holland or the Netherlands. And they were very talented and they wanted me to play keyboards and sing occasionally. But that's sort of the last time I performed. And the idea of doing that on a stage now is not my cup of tea. I'm getting a bit too old for that now.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that out the blue, you know, a special, not on a regular basis, but let's just say out the blue, a performance or something. Not you know, not a grueling. We go here, we go there, but just out the blue, but you know, reunite a reunion of some band members or something. You decide in front of an audience that's a beloved audience that you just do a few songs, something like that.
Yeah, I think if it was with other members of the bands I used to play in, I would. Yeah. In fact, I still did that up until about 5 years ago. Occasionally, play with the drummer. Right. And he had different guys in the band then, but yeah, I played with them, and up until about 5 years ago, I'll let you into a little secret.
Okay.
5 years ago, I had a stroke.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay, I understand.
And even though that didn't affect me enormously physically, it affected me in lots of other ways. So I'm less likely now to want to perform live. But yeah, I mean, if an opportunity presented itself like that, and all I had to do was to play the keyboards or something, and maybe join in the choruses or something, yeah, I'd do that. I think I would.
Right. So are you still making new songs?
No, I haven't written any songs since 2017 when I had the stroke.
Do you think in the future you may just for the fun of it, out the blue? I
tell you one thing that's been playing on my mind now for probably at least 3 months. Is, do you remember a song by the Who, the band called the Who?
Yeah.
Called My Generation.
I think I might have heard that song.
People try to put us down, talking about my generation.
I think I've
Does that
heard
ring a
that
bell?
song. Yeah, I think I heard
Yeah.
that song. You have a great voice
Okay.
too. You have a great
Oh,
voice.
thank you. Well, I was actually thinking I
Mhm.
would like to compose something similar, because when I look back at my life, I just think, what the, I won't use that word, but what the,
Yeah.
has my generation
Hey, that would be a
done to
great
this
song.
world?
What the what the, that'd be a great song. But go ahead, go ahead.
We have ruined this world.
Right, right,
I mean, you know, I'm not saying we did it deliberately,
right,
but my generation digging coal, I came from Wales. There were coal mines everywhere.
right, right.
Even when I came up to London, you know, you had big companies using loads of gas, loads of electricity, whatever. And it's, you know, what we've done to the world, particularly with motor vehicles. It's
Right.
only now, 60, 70 years later, that
Mhm.
we are trying to make electric vehicles and stop the pollution that is killing everything. And
Right.
so, yeah, I have had on my mind, I'd have to call it something different from my generation.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll have problems with the members of the Who. But
Right.
I'd like to compose a song
Mhm.
regretting
Right.
what my generation has done.
Okay. I think that's good. That's good. Do,
Well,
do,
thank you.
do you like writing about flowers? You know, just any little fun thing. You know what I mean? Just I mean, even soft topics, you know, just I saw a woman walking down the street. She was so nice and sweet. You know, just something fun, light, fun.
Well, I think still 90% of music is about love, or
Right,
the failing of love,
right.
or the end of love.
Yeah,
But 90% of music is about, you know, relationships.
right.
Um, I've never been a great writer of that kind of lyric.
Okay,
Most of my lyrics have been about different things, you know. I mean, one of the songs that I still love, performed by my band Backlash, was about Captain Pratt,
okay.
Captain Pratt, P-R-A-T-T,
Mhm.
who it was like a little setback in history about some very naughty captain
Yeah,
who tried to pinch his bosses and the king's lovers and
right,
women.
right, right,
So if you get a chance to listen to Captain Pratt, you'll know what I mean.
right.
Um, I don't think, I mean, maybe a few I've written about I Miss You. That was one song that I wrote about something that happened. So that was about a relationship. And one or two other songs maybe about relationship, but not the majority. The majority, if you hear my songs, they're about different things, all sorts of things.
Yeah, yeah. You know, as you saw a rose grow today. Today was a beautiful day. It could have been better, but still it was a beautiful day. You know, just something like you know something in that vein or something. It was a purple day, or you know. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there just for fun. I just feel the
Reminds me of,
vibrations that you could create something like that. I feel the vibrations that you could you could create something like that, and it would be awesome.
well, the first thing that came to my mind was Purple Rain. Purple rain, purple rain. Remember
Right?
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
But
think it. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say,
Yeah,
for a period of time, maybe 15 years,
yeah.
I didn't like rap.
Right,
I'm not
right,
saying that rap artists are untalented. I'm not saying
right,
that rap
right,
artists should be banned or anything. It just
right,
wasn't my scene. I like
right, right,
music.
right,
I like
right. Yeah,
melodies.
yeah.
But I mean, some of the rap lyrics were excellent. I've got to
Right,
applaud them for that. But
right,
so I think over the years, I've just loved music that is slightly different, that's got good melody that maybe has a chorus that people can join in.
Right.
If you go on YouTube and find my channel on YouTube, I've got quite a few videos on there which feature live audience, you know, mainly from the south of France, those venues. But yeah, those kind of venues and those kind of songs I've always loved, musical songs.
Definitely, definitely. Now you said you have some footage from times past. Do you intend someday to release that, you know, like in a YouTube format or something, so people can see some of the great work you were doing then and some of the music that was coming out and the energy and the scene and the tapestry, all of the great things of the past? So that we can experience that? Is that a possibility?
Well, yes, what I've done is I've taken some of the old songs dating back to my bands, and apart from featuring photos of them, I've got totally different photos to make it up in the video. And I've probably got, I haven't counted them recently, but probably got 30 plus or maybe more videos on YouTube on my channel. So if you look up the channel Redave Studios or David Roper, you'll find it there. And you'll see that a lot of my videos feature my songs in the background, but the actual video may not be about my song. So the video may be about something related to the lyric.
Right.
Whether it's anti-war or whether it's peace and love. I mean, the peace and love thing, it's shot up in the number of views. I was very, very pleased. And even my latest one now has over 1,000 views, 1,200 views. So yeah, I still enjoy doing those videos. I made one today. I haven't put it on YouTube yet, but the one I made today was a bit of an advert because you want to get people to watch or listen to your old songs if possible.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I'm a fan of footage. You know what I mean? So, and to see, you know, classic footage or old footage of how things were back then, and I think it's even more special than even, let's say if you use the Beatle footage sometimes, because we have seen a lot of their footage and they're great. They're great. Beatles are one of the greatest bands. But when you see an artist that you may not have seen before, whatever, and you just see them playing and you may like the music, that is so much fun. That is so tasty.
Yeah, I think the last song I composed and then did it live in the south of France was Bring On the Revolution, because I think all my life, really, from growing up as a child, I've wanted peace and love across the world. And, you know, when I think back to those times and what's going on now, even, you know, it depresses me. So I think the first YouTube video I did, or one of the first, was about the war in the invasion of Iraq,
right,
by Tony Blair and George Bush,
right.
And I was very much opposed to that. In Britain, at that time, 2004, 2 million people all over Britain protested on the streets, marched on the streets. 2 million.
Wow.
I mean, that's incredible. And yet the war still went ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that war.
Anyway, not wishing to get political, but that's one of the first videos I did.
Yeah, I wasn't, I mean, I don't like to get too political, but some things you make comments on, you know, and that I wasn't a fan of that war either. I'm not a fan of war. If there's some type of way that a fair enough, I put it that way, agreement can be
Yeah.
brought to bear, that's much better than the loss of lives for senseless, whatever the motivation is,
Yeah. Yeah.
we can
I
come
have
to.
I have a new Facebook group, and
Okay.
it's called
Okay.
the Hippies Group. So it'd be
Okay.
lovely if you join that, Errol. The
Okay.
Hippies Group.
Well, what we'll do is why don't we in the video, I mean in the body of the video, we can put that there, and then you can put when you send me an email, and then we can, and if people want to come see and join, then they from the video they can go
Yeah.
and have an opportunity to be a part of it and see what's going on.
Well, it's just about bringing peace and love and change in this world, and that's what it's all about. But let's hope we can.
Definitely
In the future.
definitely.
Yeah.
So I guess in closing, what are you, so you have a channel. So in the future, you said that you might do some music when it hits you or something like that, maybe.
You never know. Maybe someday soon I'll write a new song, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Right. But you said that as of now, people can we'll put in the body of the video that they can go to your YouTube channel and experience some of the music. And what I was talking about, I don't know if I got it, if it came across clear. I'm just saying that you had some footage of you performing when you were younger. That will you put some of that material up? That's the type of stuff I like.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't got. I mean, I've not got footage of me performing. I've got lots of the old tiny little reel-to-reel things, of videos as my family grew up. So of the kids and things like that. Yeah. But not really of me performing. I can't think of any video going back those years of me performing. But what I've done is I've managed to fit videos to my old songs, to some of my old songs. That's what I've done. Okay.
That's great then. That's great. Well, what I'm
Let
going
me
to say,
I am really pleased, Errol, that you've invited me to this talk, and it's been absolutely fantastic, and thank you so much.
Right. Yeah, I was about to close, but definitely just keep doing what you're doing. It's great. I'm telling you, it's great that last year you got a deal. That should give people some inspiration to know that, if you have good music, eventually, you don't know when or where, but still something that can affirm that you have some great music. It'll show at the right time. But other than that, I mean, I really enjoyed that you came on the show. I think it was a very special show, and anytime you can have musicians and songwriters on the show, and let people, it's one thing to hear the playing of the music and hear the songwriting, but to actually talk to an authentic musician, a songwriter, I think it's a lovely and beautiful thing for the public. So we really appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm sure people will watch the show, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much as well, Errol. It's been lovely talking to you.
All right. So you just hold on for a second, but we want to tell the audience, thank you for coming on American Authors and Others. I'm sure you really got an authentic opportunity to hear somebody who is a musician. It's one thing to hear them play, but to hear them talk and hear a little bit of their views, and that's good as well. And that's a songwriter. It's such a beautiful experience. Until next time, we'll see you another time, American Authors and Others, but enjoy this program.
I have one request, very quick request. Can you send me via LinkedIn, if you like, the name of the song that you really liked. I would love to know which one that was.
I'm gonna
Which
have
one
to
of
go.
my songs?
Yeah, I'm
When
gonna
you
go.
think of,
I'll try to find it, and yeah, for sure, I will send it. If once I find it, I will definitely send you the name of it. It was a great song.
well, most of my songs are now on sites, so all sites, Spotify, everything, you know, loads of sites, you'll find them. Just look for Redave. Thank you very much indeed. I'm so grateful.
Okay, it was an honor. So just you hold tight for 1 second, and we're gonna end the show with them. And again, definitely watch the show, subscribe, like, and really learn from this great musician and songwriter. Until next time, we'll see you another time on American Authors and Others. Okay.